Hi everyone. Okay, I'm just gonna lower the BGM a bit. Hi everyone, how you doing? I hope you're having a nice day. Oh, and thank you, Kiseki Kaide, for writing this poetry event. And I'm glad you happened to have a day off, Yin Yang. I was scared because you were one of the person that didn't took the poll, and I know usually you work the week, so I was scared you could not come. But I'm glad you're here. Hi, Krima. Hi, Kiseki. Oh, I'm glad. And I, Azure say, I hope I'm saying that correctly. And hi, Nem, how are you? Thank you, Krima. I'm doing well. I'm freaking out a bit because, I've planned this event for maybe kind of weeks now. But it just hit me. Hey, Batista, how you doing? It just hit me like yesterday when I was practicing reading some of the poems. It kind of just hit me of like, wait, you're gonna have to read this in front of people, and you've told people about this, you've told your friends about this, you've told about there's gonna be people, probably a lot, that are gonna be in the stream, and I was like, wait, what? And it just kind of hit me that it's like I just got suddenly like took back to high school when we had to do like oral presentation, and I was like, oh no. Yin Yang, I would have done the poll, but I didn't get my schedule until I decided on the time. Oh, well, I'm glad it worked out. You got this, you're good at this stuff. I hope so. So yes, it does feel like high school kind of. And like with oral presentation, but at least like the feeling I have, I'm kind of stressed, but at least I'm like, they can leave the stream anytime, so I'm not like, it's not like they're forced to sit here and listen to me. So I'm just like, oh, if they don't like it, they can just leave, and it takes off a bit of the pressure off my shoulders because yeah. I successfully dodged work to come here. Oh, for real? Oh, that's sweet. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Okay. So, thank you all for coming. Okay. Good reasons to leave work. Okay, so, I've wanted to talk a bit about the preparation of dance. Basically, I have this writing program I use. It's called Zenwriter. And it tells me the number of words, and there's like cool sound effect and background. That's what I'm gonna be using for the poetry stream. You can do it, thank you. And the words thingy, like it tells me like the number of minutes it should make. And the thing is, it told me I had technically 45 minutes of non-stop reading, which I will stop. I'll ask like questions and try to talk with you. But when I tried practice it yesterday, it just like the first part, because they're kind of like two parts, it amounted to 1 hour. So like, I don't know how long the stream is gonna go. It's gonna go how long it's gonna go. You know what I mean? We have lots of poems. I think I have a number. We have like, I think around 30 poems from public domain. We had we had two nice people giving like their work for me to read. Yin Yang Streaming submitted to me a science fiction short story, and I wanted to read that because I really like short story, and science fiction I kind of like it a lot. So we have that. We have someone, they're not in chat yet, I think, or maybe they are. I've credited them. They wrote a poem from the stream, so I was very happy that they decided to contribute like that. And then I also wrote a poem for the stream, and I'm really excited to share it with you because I've really poured my soul into it. I haven't read yet the short story from Yin Yang Streaming, because they told me, yeah, if it's a short story, usually your short story have kind of a plot twist at the end, so like get surprised on stream. So I was like, okay, let's go. But everything else I've read. And we have 3 poems from my favorite French poet, Émile Nelligan, and I've traduced it in English the best I could. It was rough, but I've done it. Do I have anything else to say about the stream? Okay, I don't really have content warning. Most of the thing I think were really fine. I mean, there's, I think, death mentioned or war mentioned in some of the poems. but usually most of it is really safe for everyone. There's like one drug mentioned in the poem, I think, but that's pretty much it. Most of the poem, I tried really hard to make it like available for everyone. I wanted to put like some more short stories from like maybe Edgar Allan Poe, but most of his poems were kind of gruesome, and I was like, maybe not today. So, okay, so I think that's it. I don't think I have anything else to say. We'll talk about the format. Okay, I'm just gonna change real quick. Okay, yeah. Shelters, woo, I'm here. Okay. Oh shit, wait. Okay, I'll just stop that here. Okay, now I have something. Wait, does it work? Let's go! Okay, it works. Okay, now, there's something that's important. I have lots of poems, and I'll try to ask you what you think about it, because, it's fun to discuss about what you, like, understood, and there's some with, like, some ye olden language that even myself, I had a good vibe from it, but if you were to ask me, like, what it really meant, I can't tell. So it's okay if sometimes you're just like, bro, what is that? What is that? I'll try to articulate very well because, as you know, English not my first language. Sometimes I say a word and it's not the good sound, because French sound and English sounds very different. But I hope I'm gonna do a good job. Now, there's a questions. I wanted to ask you. Basically, this program as like music, and I've made like some sort of like playlist. There's like 3 songs in this program that I've matched with different poem. I've like washed all the poem and put like song. But I wanted to ask you, like, do you prefer without background music or with background music, like for each of the poems? Like, I'm asking you, okay? Because this is even just actually like not that much for me. Like, I wanted to share something with you, yes, but this event is not that much for me and much for like the shelter, the fledgling, the people who've made this possible and who makes me really happy each time I come on stream and make this all possible. So, hey, it's not your first language, you sound very fluent. Yeah, it's the power of getting internet when I was 12 years old and spending all my times on it. Really make miracles. I became bilingual thanks to internet. Sorry, English teacher, you were just never good enough for the job. Um, so like I have some music. If you're down, I can like put some. I've made a playlist that I've like 30 poems, and I was like, oh, this poem needs this song, and I never heard poem with background music, so I vote for yes. I mean, there's poems where I wrote don't put music because the vibe is just too good. So I can put like music, and if like midway stream you're like, okay, maybe cut the music, I'll cut the music. Your English is good. I bet streaming is a lot of practice too. Yes, it is. A lot of it. Hi, Thoria, you here? I think everyone is here. I mean, Sizzle is not here, but usually they're lurking, so maybe they're here. Hooray for internet. So yes, I have music. I've made some sound tests, but I want you to tell me if the music is kind of like too loud or something, because you know. Uh, yeah. Lark, I'll be back. It's okay. Okay, the stream has just begun, but the cuteness is already. I'm glad you like it. So now tell me if the music is a bit too loud. I have like a music for each of the poem, like not different music, because that would have been a lot of research. But yeah, are you all ready? Okay. So tell me if the music is too loud, and I'll try to mix that up a bit. So the first poem is A Dream Within a Dream by Edgar Allan Poe. I have lots of his work in this stream because I really do enjoy the way he writes things. Short stories were a bit too gruesome for the stream, but I really like how he writes. And A Dream Within a Dream is actually one of my favorite poems because I've seen it in a cool, music videos. Not music video, more like recital videos with a montage, and it was like so well done. It just kind of shook me to the core. So I hope you're gonna enjoy this. Wish me luck. Take this kiss upon the brow, and in parting from you now, thus much let me avow. You are not wrong who deem that my days have been a dream. Yet if hope has flown away, in a night or in a day, in a vision or in none, is it therefore the less gone? All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream. I stand amid the roar of a surf-tormented shore, and I hold within my hand grains of the golden sand. How few, yet how they creep through my fingers to the deep, while I weep, while I weep. O God, can I not grasp them with a tighter clasp? O God, can I not save one from the pitiless wave? Is all that we see or seem but a dream within a dream? So yes, I do enjoy this one quite a lot. I like things that talk about like dreaming or perception of life. It always could make me think about this. So how do you think about it? um, yeah, I think works by Edgar Allan Poe really great. Really recommend. If you can read up some of his poetry, things good. By the way, I have like an alert of drop frames, so can someone just like type something real quick to tell me I'm still here? Because I would really like it to not like keep reading if like I'm gone. You see what I mean? Oh, it was a minute ago. Okay, maybe I'm just alright then. Question mark. I'm sure someone would have said something if I was gone. So let's just keep going. Okay, the second one has a different song. Okay, yeah, I'm sure everyone would have said something if I was gone. So this next poem has a bit of a more cheerful vibe. You're good. Okay, we're glad. Are you going to analyze on them after each reading? If I understand them, probably, because you know it's part of the fun. You know, just kind of thinking about it. But maybe not. There's some, honestly, I was not quite sure what it meant, but I really like the vibe or the rhymes. So yeah, maybe. We'll see. Oh, I'll try to make sure you can read. I've not have like all the page, so I'll try to make sure that you can still read. Okay, so you're just able to read the first one? Okay, so I'll try to make sure that the paragraph are always in the middle of the sheet. So this one is Forevermore by Madison Julius Cowain. Oh, by the way, I wanted to say thank you to Levianatos, the one in chat, because it really did help me find lots of poems because I was freaking out. I wanted to, the second we hit like the path, I wanted to make it like the week after, and you really helped me with like the finding poems. So I just wanted to say thank you. You know what I mean? I think this is one maybe if found, I think. So, you know. This one is by Madison Julius Cowain. I don't have much of their work, so I guess it was a bit of a happy little accident that I found their poem. So, here I go, I guess. Whole heart that vainly follows the flight of summer swallows, far over alts and hollows, over frozen buds and flowers, to violet sea and levels, where love time's luck dishevels, with merry mimes and revels of aphrodisiac hours. O love who, dreaming, borrows dead love from sad tomorrows, the broken heart that sorrows, the blighted hope that weep, pale faces pale with sleeping, red eyelids red with weeping, dead lip dead secrets keeping, that shake the deeps of sleep. O memory that showers about the withered hours, white, ruined, sudden flowers, dead dust and bitter rain, dead loves with face teary, dead passion when and dreary, the weary, 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 dead heartache and the pain. Oh, give us back the blisses, lost madness of moist kisses, the youth, the joy, the tresses, the fragrant limbs of white, the high heart like a jowl, alive with subtle fuel, lips beautiful and cruel, eyes incarnated light. Instead of tears, white laughter, the whole hot passion after, the always sweets that after, made flesh and soul a slave. Enough of tearful sorrows, enough of rank tomorrows, The life that winds and borrows, but memories of the grave. The wave that breaks no netting of care or spin threading, no long, long sweet forgetting for those who would forget, and those who stammer by it, hope of an endless quiet, within them voiceless riot, when they are and it have met. And God we pray beseeching, but life with finger reaching, stone's turn remaineth teaching, our heart to turn to stone. Then fain are we to follow the last lone soaring swallow, past boons of old and hollow, forevermore alone. Okay, so this one, I think, I'm not sure, like, there was some things I was not quite sure. I could sleep for a good reason. If you fall asleep, that's chill. That means you enjoyed the vibe. I think this one, I've chose this song, and from what I've understood, this is about, life and happiness, and I think the person writing this kind of wants to find back that joy and sweet love, but from what I can understand, especially with the last paragraph, they're longing for that love and happiness, but life just isn't kind, and with the way that life is, it's teaching them that it's not good to be happy, or hearts turn to stone. It's kind of like love is kind of pointless, and that in the end they just stay forevermore alone. So it's kind of a bittersweet poem, I think. Make a compilation of you reading this, upload it on YouTube, something. I mean, honestly, I was thinking maybe if this stream goes well, I'll probably post it on YouTube. Because, usually I don't like to post stream because sometimes they're dead silent, I don't know what to say. So it can be like, long to watch, but this, I won't have a shortage of things to say. Oh, this is one of my favorite. Okay, Leviathanos, find them for me. And I love poems about stars and space. I really love it. And this is one of the poem I really liked. I have lots of AE Ausman in this poetry. Maybe it under ASMR. That won't wonders. It could, couldn't it? So this is a poem about stars. I like stars, and there was something about it. It's very short, but it was something about it that just kind of shook me. I don't know. I guess you'll see. So this poem is Stars, I Have Seen Them Fall by A.E. Ausman. Stars, I have seen them fall, but when they drop and die, no star is left at all. From all the star-sown sky, the toil of all that be, helps not the primal fault, it rains into the sea, and still the sea is salt. I don't know, there was something about like the stars falling, into the sea, that like it rains into the sea. And I don't know, especially from the fact that it talked about, the stars falling. It just felt, I don't know, it kind of, the way I interpret it, maybe I've got it wrong, but to its own interpretation, it kind of felt like they talked about like stars falling into the sea, something like so beautiful and kind of magical in some ways, like falling into the sea, and yet the sea is still salt. Like, I don't know, it just kind of shook me. Something beautiful falling into the sea, and yet it still doesn't reflect. Like something so beautiful just disappearing out of nowhere and leaving no proof of it. I really do like this one. So yes, I think we're going well. We're doing well. Tell me if you just wanna say your interpretation. Maybe you're just here to listen to the sweet vibes. Any case, so now we have some sonnet by 14 by William Shakespeare. I have also lots of William Shakespeare in this thing. I really like it. Good work. Oh wait, let's go, Yin Yang. I am listening. Dun, dun, dun. I keep having. Can we go back to the star ones? Oh yeah, sure we can. Oh, I think we got it. Yeah, I think it's Beautiful. You can take screenshot and everything. It's A.E. Ausman, by the way, if you want to research it. Yeah, it's really, really, really nice. I like this one. I keep having like alarms of drop frame, and I really, really hope that since this is just a chatting stream with no high effect, I hope it doesn't reflect into the stream and no one will see the drop frame. This is the magic of it. So Yin Yang, is it okay? Can I scroll down? I'm gonna slowly scroll down. Tell me if it's not okay. So yeah, here we have the sonnet. I have lots of. I think I have maybe 2-3 pieces of Shakespeare in this. Lots of it are. I mean, there's sonnet. I love the imagery of comparing sweetener that doesn't affect the sea. Yeah, that's what I felt like. You know, like there's beautiful stars falling down into the sea, and yet the sea is still salt. You know, and often salt is something we don't like the taste. You know, it can be kind of not bitter, but some things we just doesn't think as desirable, and yet something so beautiful as a star comes falling to the sea. And you know, it's a primal fault, like how dare it is that a sea falling to the star doesn't make it into something, you know, more beautiful. Yes, like this one. Thank you, Leviathan. Hey, hey. You don't see me, but I'm finger gunning. Hi, Sizzle, you here? Well, hey, this Kubi gang is there. Everyone is here. Well, I couldn't be more happy. I think everyone that I wanted to be on this stream is all there. Jeez. So yeah, this is yeah, the whole squad. So next one is Sonnet 14 by William Shakespeare. I think I'm just gonna read it, and then I mean, there's not much to interpret from this one. Not from the stars do I my judgment pluck, and yet methinks I have astronomy, but not to tell of good or evil luck, of plagues of dust, or seasons' quality, nor can I fortune to brief minutes tell, pointing to each is thunder, rain, and wind, or say with princes if it shall go well, by oft predict that I in heaven find. But from thine eyes my knowledge I derive, and constant stars in them I read such art, as truth and beauty shall together thrive, if from thyself to star thou wouldst convert. Or else of thee this I prognosticate, thy end is truth, and beauty's doom and date. This one I'm pretty sure is a love poem. Not gonna lie. There was though I really liked it, but there was like old word that have made it tough for me to quite get the whole image. But I really do think it's someone I don't know feeling like they can see the knowledge of the universe in the eyes of their beloved. You know. So yes, and they're saying that like you know that the end of the person they love would be also the end of truth and beauty, which is kind of nice, you know, like it's kind of them seeing their lovers as the incarnation of beauty and truth. Kind of sweet. Not gonna lie, very smooth Shakespeare, expressing a melancholy feeling about the society and how the need drivers often justify. Honestly, I really like interpretation, Yin Yang. That's what's nice, is that a poem that is so short yet can still have so many meaning and so interpretation. Like there's no real meaning. And yet it can be like you know, like I think the poem has as many lines as the paragraph you use to try and describe what his meaning could be. So I think it's interesting, you know, like you can have the same amount of line to explain the same amount of line that the poetry had, and I think that's nice. You know, I think it's very unique. Oh, another William Shakespeare. I've took just an extract because it was like the whole it was you know, it's a you know the piece the theater scene, but I was like, oh, I cannot take the whole scene, that would be very long, and it's just this spot that really shooks me. Basically, I've seen a TV show character like enacting this scene, and it just, the way he said it, it's just, I don't know, it just shook me once again. Poetry does tend to shook me to my core, so I hope it makes the same effect. And so yes, just a small part. So yeah, Romeo and Juliet, it's Act 5 and Scene 3 by William Shakespeare. Ah, dear Juliet, why art thou yet so fair? Shall I believe that unsubstantial death is amorous, and that the lean, bald monster keeps thee in dark to be his paramour? For fear of that, I still will stay with thee, and never from this palace of dim night depart again. This one I like it, you know, it's kind of like, you know, is death is just kind of as if death would be in love with the person he likes, and wants to keep her, so he has to stay with her in case she would not wake up again. And I don't know, there was something about personification of death as a monster. We like it. I like personification. Oh god, I'm back for real. 30 minutes late. It's okay. We have lots more poems, not gonna lie. I don't even know, like, bro, not gonna lie. Okay. I think we at Edgar Allan Poe. Okay, this one is someone that recommended to me. Once again, love my toast. Good taste. Again, Edgar Allan Poe. That guy writes well. I like it. So this one is Alone, by Edgar Allan Poe. From childhood's hour I have not been, as other were I have not seen, as others saw I could not bring my passions from a common spring. From the same source I have not taken my sorrow, I could not awaken my heart to joy at the same tone. In all I loved alone. Then, in my childhood, in the dawn of a most stormy life, was drawn from every depth of good and ill the mystery which bind me still. From the torrent or the mountain, from the red cliff of the mountain, from the sound that around me rolled in its autumn tint of gold, from the lightning in the sky as it passed me flying by, from the thunder and the storm, and the cloud that took the form, when the rest of heaven was blue, of a demon in my view. I like it. I like it a lot. I think this person is really alone, and they kind of realized that they just felt this loneliness, you know, and they just kind of, you know, chilling. But I think this, you know, the cloud and, you know, of a demon in my view, maybe it's him realizing that he's not quite happy with this, you know, that maybe this loneliness brings, you know, happiness, but also maybe some sort of, you know, like I said, maybe some sort of demon, you know, being quite alone. Okay. Oh, this one I loved. I love, like, cheerful, like, okay, deep dark sad poems, they're good, they're nice, but like carefree poems, I love them. It made me feel good, makes me want to live. um Again, Lavina Toast still. This person, like, literally was my referral. They were like, oh yeah, this one is good, I like this one. They really saved me there. So again, William Wordsworth. I think I have more of their poem in the future. So I hope you like it. It's I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud by William Wordsworth. I wandered lonely as a cloud, that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle in the Milky Way, they stretch in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me outwrought. For oft, when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. I like this one. It's just like such a, for me it gives me kind of like summer vibes, you know, like when you're in summers and you kind of just look at the blue sky with giant cloud, and there's like just like the green grass, and there's like some sort of like warm soft wind, and it just kind of like, it's almost as if like the wind is inside of you and you kind of just feel alive. You just feel like you could do anything, like you could just like restart your life, become a new person, a better person, and it just feels like for one moment it just feels like you're something different, something more alive and vivid that you ever were. For me, this is kind of the vibe that it gives me. I really like summer. Makes me feel really alive. Not my favorite season, but when I'm on a cliff, not a cliff, more like a hill, and it's summer and there's like some sort of warm winds, it always feels like for once I could be anything I want. This one is À quoi bon dire? What good is there to say? By Charlotte Mew. I've translated the titles. I don't know why they put why she had a French title, but kind of interesting, you know. The SMS is so good it helps me finishing the surprise. Let's go! I hope I can keep the vibe good and nice. Cool ASMR. So yes, what good is there to say by Charlotte Mew. 17 years ago you said something that sounded like a goodbye, and everybody thinks that you're dead, but I. So I, as I grow stiff and cold, to this and that say goodbye too, and everybody sees that I'm whole, but you. And one fine morning in a sunny lane, some boy and girl will meet and kiss and swear that nobody can love their way again, while over there you will have smiled and I shall have tossed your hair. Aw, you're sweet, y'all. This one I like because in this poem I'm honestly not sure if the person she's talking about is still alive, because everybody thinks that he's dead, but she doesn't believe that, you know. She's kind of convinced that he's still alive, and as she grows old she says that it doesn't see her that way. So I don't know if he's still there, you know, or if she's just maybe thinking about him, or kind of seeing his presence, you know, and then she just kind of think about the boy and the girl that says that nobody can love their way again, and I think she's kind of seen themselves in them, and you know, I think maybe she's seeing them when they were young, because you know the last line is, you know, is in the past. So I don't know, I think it's interesting. I'm not sure if he's still there, like in their life, or if she's just thinking about it. Quite soft. William Wordsworth. Um. So yep. This one is again by William Wordsworth. I have a few of his work in this list. My Heart Leaps Up by William Wordsworth. My heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in the sky. So was it when my life began. So it is now, I am a man, so be it when I shall grow old. Oh, let me die. The child is father of the man, and I could wish my days to be bound each to each by natural pity. This one is nice. I like when they talk about like life and nature and kind of like a cycle. I think that's what this poem means, you know, it talks about, you know, cycle of life and the fact that, you know, you can look at a rainbow when you're a kid and when you're adult, you look at a rainbow and it just feels like the same, but everything's different, you know? I like it. Okay, so this one I will have a slight change of BGM. I think this is the good one. Yes, it is. So, There Will Come Soft Rains by Sarah Teasdale. Once again, this is a one-off of their work, so it was kind of a happy little accident. There Will Come Soft Rain by Sarah Teasdale. Wartime. There will come soft rains and the smell of the ground, and swallows circling with their shimmering sound, and frogs in the pool singing at night, and wild plum trees in tremulous white. Robins will wear their feathery fire, whistling their whims on a low fence wire, and not one will know of the war, not one will care at last when it is done. Not one would mind neither bird nor tree if mankind perished utterly. And spring herself, when she woke at dawn, would scarcely know that we were gone. Yeah, this one I chose because I like description of nature, and I like that this one is kind of, you know, like we care about walls when it's there, but when it's over, everyone just kind of wants to forget and pretend like it never was there, and that, you know, I guess in the war we kind of destroy things. So if we stopped, you know, Spring herself would not realize that we were not gone because, you know, she would just go back and nature would just go back to the way it always was. So the next one is The Voice and the Peak by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Once again, I think I just have one work in this compilation, so I hope you're gonna enjoy it. It's some sort of nice personification of mountains talking with someone. Oh, I love that poem, the Voice in the Peak. Oh, I'm glad. I was afraid that some of the poems, since they're old, most people wouldn't know. I think I've put some of classic, especially Edgar Allan Poe classic. You will see. I'm so excited to. Oh, I think it's the next one. Oh, I'm excited. So yes, I'm glad you like it. So I like when there's personification of themes. Really makes me happy. Oh, There Will Come Soft Rain. Oh, okay, that's the one you like. Oh, I like it too. I really like it too. I would really sit in a, you know, after apocalypse kind of video games. So, The Voice and the Peak by Alfred Lord Tennyson. The Voice and the Peak, far over summit and lawn, the lone glow and long roar, green rushing from the rosy thrones of dawn. All night have I heard the voice rave over the rocky bar, but thou wert silent in heaven, above thee glided the star. Hast thou no voice, O peak, that standest high above all? I am the voice of the peak, I roar and rave for I fall. 1,000 voices go, to north, south, east, and west, they leave the heights and are troubled, and moan and sink to their rest. The fields are fair beside them, the chestnut tower in his bloom, but they feel the desire of the deep, fall and follow their doom. The deep has power on the height, and the height has power on the deep. They are raised forever and ever, and sink again into sleep. Not raised forever and ever, but when their cycle is over, the valley, the voice, the peak, the star, passed and are found no more. The peak is high and flushed, at his highest with sunrise fire. The peak is high, and the stars are high, and the thought of a man is higher. And deep below the deep, in the height beyond the height, Our hearing is not hearing, and our seeing is not sight. The voice in the peak, far into heaven withdrawn, the long glow and the long roar, green reaching from the rosy thrones of dawn. I like this one because we're kind of not sure what's happening into it. The guy is talking to the peak, like a mountain, but the fact that he talk about, like I think the four cardinal direction being attracted by the deep, and like I think it's maybe, I don't know if like when you're in a mountain, if you like look deep down, if it just kind of feel like the l'appel du vide. It's kind of a word that talk about the hypnotizing feeling you can get when you look at something that is very deep down. So I really like it, and the fact that you know when deep below the deep, or a height beyond the height, our hearing is not hearing, and our seeing is not sight. I kind of wonder what it means. This is the one paragraph that really gets to me. That I don't know, maybe he's talking about an experience that is kind of beyond our feelings or beyond our sensation, kind of like when something feels really intense, really above, For example, on mountains, lots of people say they're feeling a high they never felt before. It kind of feel like a surreal experience, so maybe he was talking about that. I know which one it is. Sorry, I clapped. So I think this is one of the few songs I wrote nothing for the background music because I had no music that fit the chilling. This one, I'm so excited. Okay, this one it will be really hard for me to hear, not to hear, to recite because, like I said, English not my first language, but it's a very classic. And I remember when I first heard it, it was an English class, so I didn't give a care, and I just kind of ignored. But when on my own I read it, I kind of understood. Like when I was in school, I didn't care. I was like, bro, why is he speaking through a crow? He's kind of dumb. But now, now with like some back view, I'm kind of like, oh, I kind of get it. Like a metaphor and personification and things. And I just really like it. So yeah, the Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. I love it. I actually love it. I mean, if there's a crow, I'm gonna enjoy it. But now, actually, really like it. And I've cut off the music because all my music kind of have a certain sad or happy or neutral vibe, and this one is supposed to be a bit more chilling, sort of. So I guess I'll just do my best for this one and hope you enjoy it. I'm gonna drink water because I'll need it. I'm having an actual fun time. I was stressed for like maybe the five first poems, but now I'm kind of on a good vibes. So we're gonna keep going. I'm scared because I've put like the more personal stuff in the end, and I will have to get there. But I put them in the end for a reason. I thought by then I would be less stressed and more like feeling it. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put like my fave stuff. We already enjoy it. Well, I hope so. This edit was for you, not for me. I'm glad you enjoy it. So yes, I put my personal stuff in the end for like, I guess, reward the people would stay there, and also because I guess I won't be as stressed as much when I get there. So, The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly yet napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muted, "tapping at my door. Only this, and nothing more." Ah, distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels at name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken sad and certain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terror never felt before. So that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This is it, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madame, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact it is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping, tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more." Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore?" This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my sorrow within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping, something louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then, where there it is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but, with mien of lord and lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then the ebony birds beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of their countenances swore, "Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lonely name is on the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, beast or bird upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on that placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if its soul in that one word it did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore." Startled at the stillness broken by a reply so aptly spoken. "Doubtless," said I, "what it utters is its only stock and store, cut from some unhappy master, who unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his song one burden bore, till the dirge of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of never, nevermore." But the raven still beguiling all my sad soul into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then, upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking "Nevermore." This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated over, but whose velvet violet leaning with the lamplight gloated over, she shall press our nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfume from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkle on the tufted floor. "Wretch!" I cried, "thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite, respite, and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Prophet," said I, "thing of evil, prophet still, if birds or devil, whether tempter sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate, yet all undaunted, on this distant land enchanted. On this home by horror haunted, tell me truly I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden if, within the distance Aden, it shall clasp a sainted maiden whom the angel named Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angel named Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that our sign of parting, bird of fiend, I shrieked, upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul has spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out of my heart, and take thy form from out of my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting, on the pallid bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight over him streaming show his shadows on the floor. And my soul, from out that window that lies floating on the floor, shall be lifted nevermore. I'm having difficulties with longer just because of ADHD. Forget sentence every 2 lines I go. I mean, I can explain. That's why I chose this one, is because it's such a classic, and most of the time it's so long that people just like kind of forget what it was about. So hey, I'm here for that. I'm doing my right now. This is good. Listen to, yeah, doing like the like yoga with me saying like nevermore, kind of rapping. Yeah, so I think this one is kind of a metaphor. This man is saddened because I'm pretty sure he lost his beloved named Lenore, and then at some point he heard some sort of tapping, which is probably the crow at his window making noise. And when the crow is there, I'm pretty sure the crow is not actually crow. It's more like probably sadness or some sort of depression perhaps. And then he's just kind of, you think it's funny, a crow just entering and saying nevermore, but then you just kind of waiting and the crow keeps saying nevermore, and you just kind of have this vibe like, what if the bird was saying something to me. And at first it's just like, he's just kind of asking him question, and the bird keeps saying nevermore. But I think the more the bird said nevermore, the more it's like nerve-wracking, because he kind of uh asking him if he's asking him if like there's, I think if his Lenore is in heaven, I think. And he says nevermore, and he talks about, get back there, like get away from me, and the bird keeps saying nevermore. So for me it kind of feels like some sort of maybe either death or some sort of deep grief, and he's kind of conversing with it. And when he says, get out of here, the maybe perhaps death or grief is saying nevermore, like it's never going to leave. Maybe it's kind of a bit of a madness too. And he's saying that the raven is never gone away. He's still on this chamber door, on the bust, and his eyes kind of feel like devil's eyes, demon's eyes, and that his soul from under that window will never be lifted again. So I feel like, yeah, the crow is kind of some sort of grief from his lost Lenore. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Really like this one. It's one of my favorite. I didn't understand it when I was younger, but now I kind of like it, and I like the repetition of the sense, and the fact that most poems are kind of slow in the way they're supposed to be said, but this one, it really felt, especially with like I think it's called a dash. It really felt at some point like you're supposed to see it in like a tributant way, like the guy is stressed, is not feeling well in his like dark manner, with like he's hurting, tapping on this door and there's no one, and he just kind of feel like he's haunted by his own grief, and he's kind of freaking out. So you have to say it in a way that kind of reflect him. He's stressed, he's angry sometimes at this bird that is representing often like misfortune and stuff like that. So he's just kind of, yeah, I really like the way this one is supposed to be said, some sort of nerve-wracking, and just like quote the raven nevermore, after all this trippant way of saying it. You know, it's gonna feel like rushing and rushing to the end, and then there's always like the raven just say nevermore. That's it. You know, like the bird is not like being impacted by the emotional state of the man in front of him. You know, he's just saying nevermore. Could have been just a normal bird, but it's, you know, it's the man that is kind of putting feelings into this. You know, putting his own interpretation, and it's his own grief is reflecting upon the bird. So I like it. I like it a lot. One of my favorite. If I had to make a tier list, this one would really be like, would be on top. Would be on top. So now we can put back the music because this one was just so special. I had to pause it. Drank. You're right. It was a long pause. My god, yeah, it was, but I love it, and I'm glad because in my repetition I messed up so many of the line, and then I was so like entranced. I don't think I messed up anything badly enough that I had noticed, so I was like, oh, feeling good, man. um as you see, there's another poem by Edgar on Drink ASMR. Yeah, I don't have a good mic. I have headphones with like a mic on it. One day I'm gonna buy a better mic, and you won't have to hear the drinking ASMR. So the next one is again by Edgar Allan Poe. As you can see, I love his work. This one is The City in the Sea. Kind of interesting one. I like it. I like the description in it. So I think here we shall go. Lo, Death has reared himself a throne in a strange city lying alone, far down within the dim west, where the good and the bad and the worst and the best have gone to the eternal rest. There shrines and palaces and tower, time-made in towers that tremble not, resemble nothing that is ours, around by lifting winds forgot. Resignedly beneath the sky, the melancholy water lies. No rays from the holy heaven come down on the long night time of that town, but light from out the lurid sea streams up the turrets silently, gleams up the pinnacles far and free, up domes, up spires, up kingly halls, up fanes, up Babylon-like walls, up shadowy long-forgotten bowers of sculptured ivy and stone flowers, up many and many a marvelous shrine, whose wreathed frieze intertwine the vial, the violet, and the vine. Resignedly beneath the sky, the melancholy water lies. So blend the turrets and shadows there, that all seem pendulous in hair, while from a proud tower in the town, death looked gigantically down. There opens vein and gaping graves, yon level with the luminous ways, but not the riches there that lie in each idol's diamond high, not the gaily jeweled dead tempt the waters from their bed, for no ripples curl, alas, along that wilderness of glass, no swelling tell that winds may be upon some far-off happier sea, no having hint that winds have been on seas less hideously serene. But lo, a stir is in the air, the wave there is a movement there, as if the tower had thrust aside, in slightly sinking the dull tide, as if their tops had feebly given a void within the filmy heaven. The waves have now a redder glow, the hours are breathing faint and low, and when, amid no earthly moans, down that tall salt shadow ends, hell, rising from 1,000 thrones, shall do its reverence. I like this one because I have no idea what it means. I like this one because it kind of talk about, you know, death being on throne, and it seems like, you know, there's tower, there's beautiful work about everywhere, you know, there's halls and there's beautiful things, and yet, you know, it's apparently nothing everyone has seen. It kind of feel like after an apocalypse, you know what I mean? But it just feels like you should know, you know. Sweet lords of ASMR forbid us this wonderful. We are sin. This wonderful stream. We are sinner. Well, I'm glad you like it. So yes, I really, it feels like, for me, the way I interpret it is kind of like after an apocalypse, you know, like everything is just still there, but there's no one anymore, and there's no like, you know, there's no like the water doesn't get out of the river, it just stays there. Everything is quiet. So is the wind. Death is on the throne, and you know, like El is just gonna do its reverence as if like it's over now. You know, it's yeah, I liked it. Uh, so now we are at waxing. Um, we believe in Nemi supremacy. Well, I'm glad you like that. Um, oh, I like this one. It's very short, but there was something about it that just, I don't know. I really liked it. I really liked it. So this one is Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaves a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief. So down goes down today, nothing gold can stay. Yeah, I like this one because for me it just feels like we like things that are brilliant, that are good, that are extraordinary, and sometimes we have standard for ourselves or standard for things, and we have to remember that nothing always stay the same forever, you know, and just like this, nothing gold can stay. You know, we always have a golden age for everything, but it cannot always, you know, it cannot always just stay there like that, you know? Like it's tough to always be perfect, and for me, this is what I thought about when, you know, when I was thinking about nothing gold can stay. You know, I've seen this I don't remember what I saw that, but it was someone saying that you are a garden. And it means that, you know, sometimes you have to nurture yourself in many different ways. And you know, a garden as is up and down, you know, there's winter and there's summer and there's sometimes where the plants are still growing and then they bloom or you know, go into flower or fruits, but then after that it must rest so it can grow again. So you cannot always stay on that golden state forever. Sometimes you have to accept that it will be time to grow and it will be time to rest. Nothing gold can stay, but it can come back. So for me, this is what I thought when I saw this poem. It really, yeah, really resonated to me because I'm a workaholic. Okay, I'm a workaholic and I'm perfectionist to a fault. And for me, I think to remind myself that nothing gold can stay. It's okay to have worse days where you're less productive, or maybe just days where you rest more. It's really important to me because if I didn't remind myself, I think I'd forget. So I hope you remember. Um, the next one is again by William Shakespeare. It's sonnet. I think it's sonnet 8. I'm pretty sure X is 10, so yeah, sonnet 8. Let's go. um, yeah, I like this one. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's leaves hath all too short a date. Sometimes too hot the eyes of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometimes declines, by chance or nature's changing course and time. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thee wondrous in its shade, with its eternal lines to time thou grovest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long live this, and this gives life to thee. Poor X. Yeah, it's been a while since I've read numeric number in Greek. Is it Greek or is it Latin? Okay, I'll pretend I never said that. I like this one. This one I'm still not sure. I think it's a love poem, But I like the fact that, you know, he's comparing someone to a summer day, which is, you know, cheesy. Just kidding. But I like it, you know, like, you know, he's saying that their eternal summer shall not fade, as if the way they're warm and radiant just will never dim and will just always stay there, and that even death will not brag when they'll be taken, as if like it would have too much respect for this life. And I think it's beautiful, you know, like, yeah, I think there's something beautiful about saying that even, you know, death would respect you so much that even in your greatness, you would still not brag because you've lived a beautiful, gorgeous life, you know, that is worth celebrating. So, yes, and then we're at this one. This stream is much longer than I expected. I planned for 45 minutes of non-stop reading, but since I keep talking, the stream is long, so it's probably gonna be longer than my usual stream. I hope you're here for the vibes. And maybe there's shorter poems and I just don't remember, so maybe it's okay because I have a number of poems in front of me, and I'm like, damn, that number is big, but actually maybe we're onto the short poems now, so who knows? Yet again, we have a poem by William Butler Yeats. So, The Lake Isle of Innisfree by William Butler Yeats. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, in a small cabin built there, of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace come dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wing. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore. While I stand on the roadway or on the pavements grey, I hear it in a deep third core. I like this one because this one is really, I think the person is saying that, you know, they can be standing in a city on the roadway or the pavement and kind of just feel like the nature is calling them to just kind of have it feels like they want to just have a cabin in the wood, be self-sufficient with, you know, beans row and honeybee. I think they just want calm and solitude, and honestly, mood. I also do want, when I see some responsibility arise, to go into the woods, run wild, and never to be seen again. So much respect, William. Much respect. I like his poem. I think if I remember well, all his poems are really like calms and about nature and about, you know, kind of some sort of desperately needed solitude. So much respect. So yet again we have a poem by William Butler Yeats. It's The Wild Swans at Cool. Finally, brother, you. Yeah, I'm glad you're back. I don't know if you missed the Nevermore Raven, but it was wild. It was. I have not yet passed your story. Be reassured. So, The Wild Swans at Cool by William Butler Yeats. The trees are in their autumn beauty, the woodland paths are dry. Under the October twilight the water mirror a still sky. Upon the brimming water among the stones are 59 swans. The 19th summer has come upon me since I first made my count. I saw, before I had well finished, all suddenly mount, and scatter wheeling in great broken rings upon their clamorous wings. I have looked upon these brilliant creatures, and now my heart is sore. All's changed since I, hearing at twilight, the first time on this shore, the bell beat of their wings above my head, trod with a lighter tread. Unwearied still, lover by lover, they paddled in the cold, companionable streams or climbed the air. Their hearts have not grown old. Passion or conquest, wonder where they will attend upon them still. But now they drift on the still water, mysterious, beautiful. Among what rushes will they build? By what lake's edge or pool? The lights men highs when I wake someday to find they have flown away. This is just my alt from when I found. Oh, that's good. Okay, I really like this one because I think from what I've gathered, it's about someone just admiring the swan, and it's kind of like the rainbow from earlier, you know? Like you see something and it can be really beautiful, and then you see it another day, and it's the same thing, you know? It's the same spectacle, but it just feels different because your life has changed, you have changed. You're not the same person anymore, and it can feel heartbroken to have to do comparison between the two times you've watched it. Like you've watched this beautiful spectacle show, if I must say, and yet it just kind of brings some sort of nostalgia. And I think that's what he meant. And the fact that he says, you know, that they're beautiful, they're unchanged, unlike him, you know, and you know, you realize someday that they will have flown away. I can't say what it means for sure, but there's something about him describing this beautiful thing, this thing that is life, that is a constant beautiful things that remind them of moments, and realizing that one day they'll just have flown away, they'll be gone. I don't know, for me it kind of felt heartbreaking, you know, it's kind of having that one good thing in your life and knowing one day it might be gone. Yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about that, to be honest. I still don't know. I think that's what poems are for, you know? Like you don't have to know how you're supposed to how you're supposed to feel about it. So next one is The Dream by John Donne. I don't remember much what it was, so I guess we'll rediscover it together. Um Dear love, for nothing less than thee would I have broke this happy dream. It was a theme, for reason, much too strong for fantasy. Therefore, thou wakest me wisely, yet my dream thou broke hast not, but continued as it. Thou art so true that thoughts of thee suffice to make dream truths and fable histories. Enter these arms, for since thou dost as it best, not to dream all my dream, let's act the rest. As lightning or tapers light, thine eyes and not thy noise waked me. Yet I thought thee, for thou love as truth, an angel at first sight. But when I saw thou, so asked my earth, and you asked my thought beyond an angel's heart. When do you asked what I dreamt, when do you asked when excess of joy would make me, and came as then. I must confess it could not choose but be, profane thing thee, but anything but thee. Coming and staying show out thee, but rising makes me doubt that now. Thou art not thou, that love is weak where fears are strong as he. This not all spirit pure and brave, if mixture it of fear, shame, honor have. Perchance as torches which must ready be, man light it put out, so thou dealst with me. Thou came as to kindle, go as to come, then I will dream that hope again, but else would die. Okay, this is the one I said that when I googled, I don't know if I mentioned it, but you know when I said that sometimes you know, poem have kind of like contraction in words, because you know sometimes they will try to fit in like 12 syllables or something, and they have like contraction of words that they create to make it fix. I tried to google those words and I could not find anything. I could not find like if there was like something in English that was a contraction, so I assume it was the word asked. Okay. And I don't know. I really don't. So maybe it was not that. And I didn't know how to say it loves, so I did not. I assume it was asked. But yeah, this one is nice because it seems that he's saying that, you know, his love with that person is kind of like a happy dream, but he doesn't have to dream because it's there, you know, like it's the side of them that wake them up, and you know, like, you know, be into my home, you know, you don't have to dream, let's act the rest, because this life he has, it's not a dream, it's real. He doesn't have to dream for his life to be beautiful. But then I think he says that, I mean, the way I see it is saying that, you know, that his love maybe is weak because he's scared, and you know that his love is not as strong as it should be because it mixed with fear, shame, and stuff like that. And he's hoping that one day, uh, all but hope will die, so all he will feel will be hope, and not as scared and shameful as he is. I think that's beautiful. I think it's about, you know, the fear when you're in a relationship that something might just crumbles away. I like that. Eh, Child, I understand that you're fleeting the world on you. Oh, for the swan ones. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, sometimes you just go back to some place you went when you were young, and you just like, this place has indeed changed. Oh God, I hope you don't hear the truck outside. I think they're taking the trash. I think I'll just close my window to lessen the noise. Please hold me. I'm trying to have a stream here. Um, yeah, I really like your interpretation. You know, of like knowing you just gotta notice that you change, but things around you don't change, and you at some point you'll be gone, but that spectacle will stay there. Yep, we heard it. Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry. Okay, so we're at this one. To Althea from Prison by Richard Lovelace. I think this is the only poem of that artist I have, so quite interesting. Quite interesting indeed. Um, I'm still not sure what it means, but I think we can think about it together. You know what I mean? To Althea from Prison by Richard Lovelace. When love with unconfined wings hovers within my gates, and my divine Althea brings to whisper at the grates, when I lie tangled in her hair, and feathered to her eyes, the birds that wanton in the air know no such liberty. When flowing cups run swiftly round, with no allaying Thamis, or careless heads with rose crowned, or hearts with royal flames. When thirsty grief in wine we steep, when health and drought go free, fishes that tipple in the deep know no such liberty. When linnet-like confine, I with shriller throat shall sing the sweetness, mercy, majesty, and glories of my King. When I shall voice aloud how good He is, our great should be, and large wind that curl the flood know no such liberty. Stone walls do not a prison make, nor iron bars a cage. Mine's innocent and quiet take, that's for an hermitage. If I have freedom in my love, and in my soul am free, angels alone that soar above enjoy such liberty. I like this one because, you know, it's about, he's saying like from prison, so I think the person may be in actual prison, but knowing that you know, she loves him, and being with her is enough to make him uh, feel free, you know, that nothing can enjoy the liberty he feels when he's with her. And I think that's such a beautiful confession of love, you know, saying that even in cage, he's knowing more liberty with her than anything can feel, you know. Really like it, really like it. Is that the... I'm just gonna look. Okay. I think... Okay, maybe it's the good song. I'll just put this one then. Okay. So this one is When Wet Two Parted. I don't know what the title is named like that. I read the poem and it still doesn't make sense to me, so... Hey. When Wet Two Parted by Lord Byron. When we two parted in silence and tears, half broken-hearted to sever for years, pale grew thy cheek and cold, colder thy kiss. Truly that hour foretold sorrow to this. The dew of the morning sunk chill on my brow. It felt like the warning of what I feel now. The vows are all broken, and light is thy fame. I hear thy name spoken, and share in its shame. They named thee before me, and kneel to mine high ear, A shudder comes over me. Why wert thou so dear? They know not I knew thee, who knew thee too well. Long, long shall I rue thee, too deeply to tell. In secret we met, in silence I grieve, that thy heart could forget, thy spirit deceive. If I should meet thee after long years, I should I greet thee with silence and tears. Okay, this one I really feel like maybe he was with this person before and maybe had to part away from each other, and now people are talking about her, and it's just like kind of like nobody knows that what happened between us, and he's just kind of saying that the vows are broken. Probably she's just remade her life, and now he's just maybe not completely over it yet, and he's just grieving and hoping that he can just also move on with his life. And I think I really like it. So this one is really more cheerful. I tried to mix match like the darkest one with the cheerful one to not have like too much of a dark vibe, because lots of good poems are very dark and earth-wrenching. So I was like, oh, for example, the Raven one, I tried to have like more happy poems surrounding it, and we have a dark poem here about grieving a relationship, and now I've put I Love Thee by Thomas Hood, which is a very, very loving poem. So I'm trying to, cut the sadness with something else. So yes, I love this poem. I've heard, okay, I'm a simp, but I've heard one of my favorite actor recite it, and he recited so good. I was just in awe, and I could feel the emotion, and it really like shook me again. Like I say, every poem keeps shaking me to the core. So I really love this one. I don't know if I'll be able to say it as good as he did, but I will hope. So this poem is I Love Thee by Thomas Hood. I love thee, I love thee, this all that I can say. It is my vision in the night, my dreaming in the day, the very echo of my heart, the blessing when I pray. I love thee, is all that I can say. I love thee, is ever on my tongue. In all my proudest poesy, that chorus still is sung. It is the verdict of my eyes, amidst the gay and young. I love thee, a thousand maids among. I love thee, thy bright azure glance, the mellow lute upon those lips, whose tender tones entrance. But most the heart of hearts, thy proof, that still these words enhance. I love thee, whatever be thy chance. This one doesn't have much interpretation to say, to be honest. I just think it's just a beautiful confession of love. I just love it. There's just so much raw emotion behind it, and you don't have to understand everything. You just get the love behind it. So yeah, really like it. Powerful emotion. I think what's the name of the Thomas Hood? I should try and read more of his poem. I think I would like it. I think we're coming near the end of the first part, and it's gonna be a second part, which is still in the same stream. So yes, next poem is I Am by John Claw. Emotional damage, indeed. I am feeling emotional damage when I read like good poem like that. So I Am by John Claw. I am, yet what I am none cares or knows. My friends forsake me like a memory lost. I am the self-consumers of my woes. They rise and vanish in oblivious host, like shadows in love's frenzied stifled throes. And yet I am and live like vapors tossed into the nothingness of scorn and noise, into the living sea of waking dreams, where there is neither sense of life or joys, but the vast shipwreck of my life's esteem. Even the dearest that I love the best are strange, nay, rather stranger than the rest. I long for scenes where man hath never trod, a place where woman never smiled or wept, there to abide with my Creator God, and sleep as in childhood sweetly you slept. Untroubling and untroubled where I lie, the grass below, above the vaulted sky. I like this one. This one is about, like, I don't think the person is saying that they don't have any loved one or friends anymore, so all that they live, all their pain and misery, it's just in them, and they have no one to share with it, and no one is aware of their pain. And the people that they hold dear, now they're just strangers, so you just kind of wish that if he has to be alone, he wants to be alone in a place where no one has ever been, in a beautiful place we can just probably sleep away his problems. I really like it. Oh, this next one. I love it. I have to thanks again Levianatos for finding this one to me. It's so quirky and unique. I love it. Like I said, sad poem, make a good one in between this one. No sadness, no depression, just joy. Pure joy. So, this one is A Jellyfish by Marianne Moore. I love it so much. You have no idea. Okay. Visible, invisible, a fluctuating charm, an amber-colored amethyst inhabited your home. Approach, and it opens and it closes. You have meant to catch it, and it shrivels. You abandon your intent. It opens and it closes, and you reach for it. The blue surrounding it grows cloudy, and it floats away from you. Honestly, I don't know if there's a metaphor in there, or if it's just meant to be a cool ass poems about jellyfish, but I love it a lot, okay? I like the way it's written. I just like, trying to catch a jellyfish. It's beautiful. I love it. Pure poetry, okay? Like, I don't know, it just does something to me. Like, if it's a metaphor about like wanting to catch something that just appears and disappears and it just floats away from you, that's great. If it's just about a normal jellyfish and there's no poetry behind that, I love it too, okay? Okay. So, next one is Thoughts by Mira Viola Wilds. What kind of thoughts now do you carry in your travels day by day? Are they bright and lofty visions, or neglected, gone astray? Matters not how great in fancy, or what deeds of skills you've wrought. Man, though high may be his station, is no better than his thoughts. Catch your thoughts and hold them tightly. Let each one an honor be. Purge them, scourge them, burnish brightly. Then, in love, set each one free. This one, I'm not quite sure what it means again, but I love this idea that station is often like your job, your money, but what's important is how you feel inside and what kind of person you are. And this idea of like hold your thoughts and may it be an honor to you, no matter like what your station in life. If you can be proud of the things you think or the type of person you are, then that's good. And purge them, scout them, burnish brightly. It's kind of like try to be a better person. And then it's like, then in love, set each one free. For me, it's about kind of having self-love for the person you are, even if it's not the best one yet. Like, you can have love and acceptance toward the very person you are now, even if you're trying to grow. Like, you don't have to hate yourself to want to be a better person. And then when you're a better person, you don't have to hate the person that you were then, You can still, you can do good and not hate the bad you did. So yes. So, the next one I like is a Psalm of Life by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Okay, we're really nearing the second part. I'm excited, but I'm scared. We'll have the the two poems lent to me. I mean, short story and poems. And we'll have 3 poems I translated, and then mine. I'm scared. But yeah, we got there, y'all. We got there. Honestly, my programs told me it was like 45 minutes on non-stop reading, but I don't think I've commented that much, so I really think my program is a goddamn liar. But that's okay, that means the event is longer. So, A Psalm of Life by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Tell me not in mournful numbers, life is but an empty dream, for the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust to art, to dust returnest, was not spoken of the soul. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our distant hand our way, but to act that each tomorrow find us farther than today. Art is long and time is fleeting, and our hearts, too stout and brave, still like muffled drums are beating funeral marches to the grave. In the world's broad field of life, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb driven cattle, be a hero in the strife. Trust no future, however pleasant, let the dead past bury its dead. Act in the living present, art within and God overhead. Lives of great men all remind us we can make a life sublime, and, departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Footprints that perhaps another, sailing over life's solemn mains, a fallen and shipwrecked brother, seeing shall take heart again. Let us then be up and doing, with the heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait. Okay, I like this one because I hear lots of people, saying that, life is but an empty dream. People are often like assuming that life is just meant to be miserable. Like life is just an empty dream, or that, we're just meant to be sad, or life is just awful. But I like this one because he's saying, things are not what they seem, and there's no real goal to life. It has not been said life shall be sad or miserable. Life, it's real, it's tangible, like he says, and the grave is not his goal. You don't live just to die, you live to live. And that's something that's very beautiful in this poem, that I think he's saying. And he's saying, like, yeah, life is not about sadness. It was not meant this way, but it can be. It can be happy, it can be sad. There's no distant way, so you have to choose, and you have to try hard to make your way. And seeing others be great mean that you can also be great. There were no more special than you all, and you can make your life very great. And by making yourself great, you can be the life that inspires someone to be great again. Like, we can always be someone's inspiration, and you don't have to live in the past. You can just be in the present and try to do your best, and you can become great as everyone's did. And I really like that. I'm trying to be a very positive and optimistic person, but I was not always like that. I used to be a very pessimistic person who thought that life was just meant to be misery. And now I don't think so, because I've been proven by life that it doesn't have to be. So yeah, I want to share that with the world, that it doesn't have to be this way at all. That there's no destined hand. You can really make it the way you wish. Oh god, really near reaching is the second part. I hope you're enjoying yourself for now. um, this one is Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his honest bells a shake to ask if there's some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep. Okay, this one I don't think it has a deep meaning. I just really liked it because I have actually, one of my favorite type of poem is a type of poem that I have like 4 lines by paragraph, and that rhymes at the end. This one I freaking like, and this one has like almost like the last 2 paragraphs has like the same rhymes through all the paragraph. I love it. That's like my favorite form of poem, so like I just had to put it there. Nemi already sent those messages to us by being a lovely person. Yeah, take care of yourself. Be a good, happy person. Treat yourself with kindness. This is an order. Like I said, let's go on to our next poem. um, this one is unknown author, so I hope I can't get copyright strike for this one because the author is unknown. So I guess I should be fine. Uh, this one is nice, and I thought it was really funny because, like I have wings and stuff, so it's like, this was a non poem about like angels, so I was like, yo, yeah. So let's go. Uh, why not? I felt an angel near today, thou one I could not see. I felt an angel also close, sent to comfort me. I felt an angel's kiss, soft upon my cheek, and oh, without a single word of caring did it speak. I felt an angel's loving touch, soft upon my heart, and with that touch I felt the pain and hurt within depart. I felt an angel's stupid tear fall softly next to mine, and knew that as those tears did dry, I knew they would be mine. I felt an angel's silken wings enfold me with pure love, and felt a strength within me grow, a strength sent from above. I felt an angel also close, though one I could not see. I felt an angel near today, sent to comfort me. Take care of yourself under threats of violence. I will. I will. You guys will take care of yourself, or I will take care of your kneecaps. Ding! So yes, I like this one because, it's anonym, which kind of gives us, I don't know, a strange vibe of like it's a stranger saying that, it feels deep, and I like this idea of like invisible angels just like caring and giving love without anything in return, without speaking, without anything, and it's just the person just feels like they're gonna get better. And I kind of hope to be that unseen presence in people's life, just like, being the soft angel, being like, hey, I hope you're having a nice day. So I don't know, it just felt nice. Oh god, we're really close. So this poem is, you heard me, Torian, I will take out your kneecaps if you don't take care of yourself. I don't think I've stuttered. Next poem is Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears loom but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll, I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul. Okay, I like this one because it's about kind of like suffering, but still being proud and still not letting that like break your spirit. And I like that. I like that kind of resilience. Nemi is already an angel for us. Let's go. You don't see Mimi, but I'm dabbing. Also, that's the extension of violence. I will. I don't condemn violence except if you don't take care of yourself. Then I will use full violence. So yes, I like this type of resilience. I really resonate with it. I think, a resilient person. Oh, white birds. Okay, after that we go to the second part of the stream. With the short story, the poems, and then mine. I'm freaking out. Okay, so yes, I think I'm a very resilient person, so I really like this poem. This one, As the Nevermore, is one of my favorite poems, but funnily enough, this one, as well as the Raven one, I have not actually read that much. This one I've read 2 times, but it's just, and it's by William Butler Yeats. I think we had like 2 other work of his in this compilation, and it just felt special. So this one has no music because, like, again, deep feeling. So yes, The White Birds by William Butler Yeats. I would that we were, my beloved, white birds on the foam of the sea. We tire of the flame of the meteor before it can fade and flee, and the flame of the blue star of twilight unglow on the rim of the sky, as awaken in our hearts, my beloved, a sadness that may not die, a weariness come from those dreamers too dappled, the lily and rose. Ah, dream not of them, my beloved, the flame of the meteor that goes, or the flame of the blue star that lingers unglow in the fall of the dew. For I would we were changed to white birds on the wandering foam, I and you. I am haunted by numberless islands and many a dun shore, where time would surely forget us, and sorrow come near us no more. Soon far from the rose and the lily, and fret of the flames would we be, were we only white birds, my beloved, buoyed out on the foam of the sea. I really like this one. I think I like this one, but like I said last week, I went with my friends to watch a meteor shower, and I think after seeing that, it changed a bit this meaning for me because I've seen meteor and they're gone in a second. And when I mean a second, it's shorter than a second. Most of them you'll just know they were there because you saw some spark of light in like your peripheral like vision. You're gonna turn, it's already gonna be gone. So saying that you're already like tired of it before it can fade and flee, and it's there for like less than a second. It's not like in movie when it stays there forever, so you have the time to take picture and all. It's gone before you even had a chance to see it. So I don't know. It just feels like this tiredness of living and this sadness that just does not die. It feels more deep now. I think that I've seen that. It just and they just want to be white birds, to be forgotten by time, and to not have sadness no more. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about it. Yeah, there's just something about it. So, whew, to kind of break a bit the feelings I have. So we arrived at the second part of the stream where there's a short story given to me by Drayden WWG on Twitter, and he's in the chat right now. Say hi. Just kidding. So tell them a big thank you. So they've given me the science fiction short story. I know it doesn't really fit the theme, but I thought, you know what, it would be like a good like I don't know how to say it. I like short story. I like science fiction. I thought the stream would be very short because my program is a liar and told me I had just like 45 minutes of time, and I was like, I mean, I think it was like 30 minutes before before the story, so I was like, oh god, I don't have enough time. But now we're already at like 1 hour 38, so I guess I got fudged over by the program. But at that point, we're having a good time. I know I am, at least. Could we take a batch? Honestly, that's what I was thinking. I was like, you know what? We're gonna take a short. Like, I'm gonna give you like 5 minutes. Okay, I mean, or maybe like maybe at 50. Yeah, maybe at 50. I'm just gonna. So it's like because it has been a long stream. So yeah, at 50. What I mean at 50, I don't mean 2 hour 50. For me, I've been live for like 1 hour 48 minutes. So just kind of vibes. Have this in the highest quality. Yeah, sure. You included me, so please. Honestly, I'm chill. I'm vibe. Okay. Honestly, I'm really. I honestly, I was drinking out at the beginning of the stream, so I just like drank water. I did all the self care things I need to do because I was like, bro, yeah, I need to be top shape for the stream, and now I'm good. I'm having good positive feelings, and yeah, I'm having a great time, I would say. So yeah, so we have this short story by Drayden, who's gracefully given me the permission to read it. Then we have a poem by Levinatos, the one who keeps recommending poems and kind of save the stream. Say hi, give him a shout out, and yes. And then we have three poems I've translated, I'll with attempt. The way I've made it is that I've had the French poem and then under it I've put like the italics. So I'm gonna kind of read like one sentence in French and then one sentence in English and just like read the whole poem like that. So you'll be able to hear some French and hear like what the original sounded like and then have my traduction. I've worked really hard on the traduction. At first, I just kind of pulled out like two traductions from like two different people, and I was like, okay, maybe that's just gonna be good, I won't need. And then when I would read the French text and read the English traduction from both sides, I was like, on what kind of like how high was the guy was when he translated that's not what he said, and I was so angry with some of the translation. It didn't make sense. I was like, dude, that's not what he said. That you're putting meaning onto this that he did not said, and it made me so angry. I spent like 2 nights translating poems because I was like, no way, you're not gonna do this to my favorite poems. That's just not gonna happen. I was like, you're putting meaning and words onto something it did not said. I will not let you. So I was so angry and filled with rage. I translate 3 entire poem of Nelligan, which, by the way, is kind of hard. It's kind of like old French poem, like with old French words. So translating that into English was rough. It was rough, but I was like, no way, I'm not letting you do this, okay? So I have now, so you will be able to see like an entire translation made by someone who's speaking French and English quite fluently, and who's made his best translation. So it should be good. It should be good. I'm kind of embarrassed about reading in French. I don't know. It just feels okay. I'll share something with you. I feels like saying something in your birth language always feels more personal than saying it in another language. I don't know if there's people here who are speaking another language before learning English. If you do, you'll get me, okay? Saying, for example, I love you in French or in like your birth language and saying I love you in English kind of feel different. Saying poetry in French versus saying it in English. In English, it kind of feels like bearing your soul, but it kind of feels like on the I don't know how to say it. It kind of feels like being on uh, you know, a spectacle, a theater. It kind of feels like dramatic. It kind of feels like you're bearing your soul, but at some point you're wearing a mask. So you just kind of feel like you're still doing it, but it doesn't feel like as heart wrenching and as vulnerable. Saying that in French, it's kind of like, oh god, okay, you really know all of me. At least it's not my poem. If it was my poem in French, I would die. I would die. I would perish utterly. But now it's not mine. So, but it's still some of my favorite poem, and some of it. Okay, I'll tell you something. When I was a kid, I went to a. I don't know if you have that in other country, but we have something called vente de garage, which is basically like garage sales, and basically just people like putting stuff on tables and selling them. Here we go by my own story. Let's go. And it's basically like just people like selling their stuff. And there was someone just selling a book of Emile Nelligan. And I didn't like poetry, but I was like kind of interested, so I bought it. And it was in primary school, and I remember I think I spent 2 years of my primary school like in the bus each day. I would read his poems, like going to the school and going back. So for a long time, there was some of the poems that I could recite by heart. I think like the golden ship one, I would be able to recite it by heart just because I've read it so much. So yes, I'm kind of excited. And after that, it's like poems. So I don't know how I'll feel about that, but hey, I hope you're gonna like it. So red light. Um, I don't know what it's about apart the fact from it's science fiction. And yeah, I don't think I'll put music on that because I don't know the vibe, so I'm not gonna put a vibe on it that was not uh there. So I'm gonna drink water. I know it's not the same as poetry, but honestly, I think it's gonna be like a cool like a short break of the emotional stuff before I wreck you again with some more poetry. Just kidding. Unless. Um my poem is very emotional, so perhaps. So yes, The Red Light by Drayden. Um The red light blinked on and off in a steady rhythm, its glow illuminating the cold grey metal of the control panel. The various other controls marked their function, but the eyes of the captain lay only on that angry little beacon. A voice spoke softly over the intercom of the cramped control center, insisting its message on repeat. This could work. Is it... Dude, question. Is it, like, copyright free? Because I'm not getting, like... I don't want Twitch to break my legs. So you have to tell me it's copyright, okay? Free. Because Twitch know where I live. This vessel is under quarantine by order of the Praxis Union. All organisms maintain isolation parameters. Do not board. Repeating message. Johan pressed the palms of his hand to his forehead, eyes flicking up in irregular bursts to the monitor's blue-green glow, and the ship centered within its gaze. The metal of its hull gleamed gold in the light from the deep red star below it. The passing waves of solar storms framing it in swirling tongues of flame. Only a few hours remained before the ship would plummet beneath the corona of the red dwarf, and whatever treasure lay within it would be irretrievable. Oh, that's cool. I think it's Creative Commons allowed. I'm gonna click. I mean, I was ready, okay, because of the anonymous poem thing, which technically is said to be, it's not written anything. It's not written that it's free. Oh God. For creating on. Oof, it's really not reading anything. I'm not sure if I should do that. Twitch is vicious. So maybe sadly I think I'll have to just keep reading it because I don't want Twitch to kill me. Twitch and the Duolingo bird are fist bumping. The crew had been prepped for nearly a day by now and were getting restless. Having a shuttle ready to fly took resources away from the scavenger's primary operation, and on a ship this whole that could lead to many messy problems. Reliant's accident was just the most fresh in the crew and the captain's mind. At least the compression saved time on the funerary rites the crew insist on performing, Joran thought to himself, shaking his head as he thought about the time that ejected a jar of atomized sand that once had been a crewmate. Yeah, in space it's kind of like that happened. Joran pressed a button and waited as the comm system whirred to life before giving it command. All hands prepare for salvage operation. Refer to manuals for biological contaminants. Engage with Operation Delta and Chi. Joran released the switch, and the comm system faded back into quiet. Do not board. Repeating message. With a salt cliff, the warning message, and angry red light switched off. The decision had been made. You know, you should never, ever do not listen to what the computer says. If the computer says do not board. Operation Delta and Chi, and to be alert for the biological contaminant. Standard salvage operation for this kind of situation, thought Alyssa. Operation Delta always came first, and she smiled knowing her skills would finally be put to use, and that rickety shuttle would finally get to have its fuel burnt and the excess unload. Once she had tugged the hulk into a stable orbit, the salvages would move in, wiping the whole place with gamma rays and pulling out every piece of valuable equipment that might be left, as well as disposing of the bodies. The thought made Alyssa shudder, but then came the time for the cutters. She didn't envy the life of a cutter. It was harsh, dangerous work to tear apart a starship into the basic component. As Alyssa slid into the shuttle, securing a life support and HUD before flicking on the startup routine, she decided she might join the salvager once they'd done an initial sweep. All crew were entitled to pick something for their share, per their contracts, after all. The klaxon blurred to life as the engine ignited, and hot plasma began to spew from their egress. The rattling doors of the salvage's opening shuttle's bay fading into silence as the air was pulled back into the ship, and she was left into the vacuum. As the artificial gravity was released, and the shuttle pushed out into the vast emptiness of space, Alyssa sighed and look out into the sea of stars beyond, imagining that she might be able to pick out which pin of light was her home system. The moment was short-lived as she interrupted by the Navi computer's harsh mechanical voice, telling her the adjustment to make, and when establishing a close orbit of the glowing red giant below her. Alyssa took one last look up at that vast sea of stars before engaging the blast shields and maneuvering by instrument to pull her next paycheck out of the fires of the stars. Alyssa wiped the sweat from her brow as she walked along the corridors of the salvage ship, the teams having already begun to strip it of everything that could fetch even a modicum of credit. Her interests, however, always began to change once she was on board one of these derelicts. What brought her here was the thought that maybe she'd find something to supplement the meager wage the captain gave the crew, but without fail she became in the mold with finding the lost stories of these abandoned ships. Was the captain a hard-as-nail authoritarian, or did she live fast and loose and indulge in those most human of impulse among the crew? What mission had brought them out into the unexploitable depth of the void? Were they explorers of the abyss? All of these questions swarmed Alyssa's mind as she wandered deeper into the ship, assured that any biological contaminants were already neutralized, with one nagging her more than any other. Why was the ship abandoned? The Union didn't abandon their ship, let alone leave them on a collision course with a star. What had happened here that the Praxan had deemed the ship, so nearly intact, to be a total loss? Alyssa, having been lost in thoughts running through endless theories on the circumstances of the ship and the crew it had contained, found herself standing on the bridge, leaning over the captain's chair to stare at the darkened monitor that wrapped around nearly the entire bridge. She rounded her head over the hard crystalline bowl that the Praxan called a chair, before sighing and shaking her head. The decommissioning process made sure all these computers were wiped before the ship was left derelict, and a thorough sweep by the salvager confirmed that. There would be no answers to her question, no resolution to the mystery, just the extraction of raw profit to fill more scavenging runs, and she hadn't even found herself a souvenir to take back with her. However, a small gleam caught her eyes, retracted up from the translucent crystals of the captain's chair. Alyssa stooped, reaching up underneath the chair and finding a small cylindrical device, with a blinking light at its top, a Praxan computer drive, unwiped and in good condition. Perhaps it had belonged to the captain before it was left derelict, thought Alyssa. In any case, it will make a fun souvenir. And with that she moved on, back to the salvager, yawning as she walked, her limbs beginning to feel rather heavy. In only a few days the entire ship had been stripped apart and fed to the scavengers on board smeltery processes, and they were on their way once again. Alyssa leaned back in her cramped cabin, feeling the dull throb of the warp coils coming online, enjoying the faint change in the artificial gravity rerouting the gravitons made. Most people couldn't feel it, but living your entire life on a starship gave you a sense for these things. Her gaze was drawn back down to the rhythmic blinking of the red light on the computer drive she had taken from the Praxan ship. She had been trying to modify one of the ports on the computer to exploit the drive, but spare parts weren't exactly plentiful, and she was no system engineer. Some subnet tutorial had been helpful, but it seemed an almost impossible goal at time. Suddenly she was ripped from her focus on the drive port by the harsh sound of coughing from the quarters next door. The incessant cough some of the crew had picked up from the last lateral post wasn't helping her concentrate either. She pursed her lips and looked up another tutorial, scratching at her collar as she got back to work. A week had passed since the crew had salvaged the Praxan ship, and within the salvager en route to a starburst to sell their oil, morale should have been high. Instead, nearly every crew member had caught that damn cough, and Alyssa's collar was torn across from scratching the angry red rash that had appeared. One of the older crew members had died the night before, and it made tinkering with the Praxan computer drive seem a trivial thing. But Alyssa had little better to do. The expanse of space was beautiful, but also vast and empty, and his old salvager ship's warp drive was barely functional. So late into the night, Alyssa was fiddling with her makeshift interface converter, with that blinking red light finally turned a solid green. The connection had been made, and a file had been automatically opened, Our computer now showing a praxis centered on their glistening exoskeleton. The numerous ardent tentacles tapping out something into a control console before speaking. The characteristic chips and whistle that defined their language, only somewhat garbled by the poor connection Alice had made. She was fairly shocked that the port hadn't just shot out the alien drive system, but when she had recovered her sense, she drove into the footlocker and retrieved a translator, switching it on and setting it to Praxin, watching in anticipation as it began to read out the translation in startup Terran. Regret these orders, and wish I had rejected the assignment, and all those offered the post before me had, wrote the translator, picking up in the middle of the Praxin speech. I was so enamored with the thought of captaining my own ship, I forgot the principles a captain should uphold in the process. What's done is done, however, and the weapon is made. Alyssa stared down at the translator, the confusion clearly visible on her face. A weapon? The salvageable team hadn't found any weapons on board the ship, not even personal defense arms. The message continued despite Alyssa's confusion, and the translator just kept going. Captain's log, galactic standard date 136.672, 2.42. I deserve what is happening here to me. Perhaps even those who had designed this damn virus too. The translation roughly cut off, as the spindly being on screen was racked by a spasm of harsh tones and twitching limbs. We made this. We should have known better. We should have never gone ahead with this plan. We should have talked with the UNE. We should have tried so many things. But we tempted the tendrils of Ishambia. To any who would find this ship, I hope you never find this cylinder. I set our ship on a decaying orbit with the system's red dwarf, and begin to broadcast a quarantine order. If you are so unlucky as to become into possession of this drive, pray to whatever gods you hold dear, for you are already infected. There is no cure. We never intended for there to be one. I hope you have lived a good life, a better life than mine. May your death be swift. The translator were weird to a stop, and the video ended. The answers to the questions she had thought while exploring the derelict hulk of the Praxin ship were answered, but it came with no relief. Alice stood on a translator, mouth half agape, frozen in place. The coughing, the rash, the man's death. All of it was because they had been exposed to a bioweapon. But there had been no mention of the ships being under a quarantine order. Suddenly hit her. Joran, that greedy bastard of a captain, hadn't left the control room or his cabin since they had reached the ship. She couldn't think of him having let anybody in since they began the operation either. He had known. He had known they were violating a quarantine order and thrown their lives away anyway. Alice's face twisted from shock to rage, and she turned to her footlocker, lifting the false bottom and taking out a forbidden position, taken from her first salvage operation. A plasma slugger still in working condition, and a few shots left in it. One shot is all I need, Alyssa muttered to herself as she took off the weapon's safeties and heard it wiring up to ready its fire. She slid open the door of her cabin and shouldered the disruptor. Joran shoved his clothes in his bag, biting his lower lip as he wiped the sweat from his brow. He would have only have a few minutes at the most to pull this off, and he didn't know if the shuttle still had enough fuel to get him back to the star base. But it was his only shot. The quarantine was on deploy, and now his entire crew had fallen ill. Except for himself, of course. He couldn't take the same risk they did. They worked for commission, and he was a tenured salaryman after all. He'd make up some story about how one of the workers broke something, or another one had gotten on with an alien. Something benign to justify his needing to abandon and quarantine the vessels. Everything would turn out just fine for him, just like always. Slinging his bag over his shoulder, he turned the key to activate the shuttle's bay door, sealed the helmet of his pressure suit, and pressed the angry red button he had seen his dream since the day he chose to have the crew board the ship. Joran ran through the ship, the darkened hall signifying the long rest period of the GSD was in full effect. Nobody will stop me, thought Joran, as he smiled to himself, only to see a figure torn into the hall, carrying something across their shoulder. He recognized the glowing pattern across it from his time in the border skirmishes, and slid back against the wall, readying his fists together. Whatever somebody was planning to do with a plasma slugger couldn't be good, and as they turned the corner, he brought his fist down hard on the back of the neck, dropping them like a rock. Jamin shook his head as he looked down on the unconscious body of Alyssa. A shame he had liked her. He turned and continued to run through the corridor, arriving at the shuttle bay, working as fast as he could to disengage the locks and get inside. He only had a few moments left before the fuel security lockout was engaged. With a hiss, the hull lock opened, and John breathed a sigh of relief, stepping into it and keying the correct sequence to his initiated cycle. He was home free until he saw the yellow lights in the corridor illuminate the wild hair of Alyssa, and he pressed up against the back of the hull lock. The moment the door would close, he would be safe. Only a few seconds longer. He pressed a hand against the unlocked door, pressing it, urging it to close, when the flash of the slugger ejecta hitting the door flung him back. Joran his twisted, clutching a hand to his bruised arm, turning to look back at the airlock. He smiled as he pulled himself up from the wall, aiming the door is shut, and the vacuum consumed him. He walked to the shuttle and threw his bag into the co-pilot seat, glancing back over his shoulder to see Alyssa banging on the pastel planes of the shuttle bay viewport. He couldn't hear her, of course, but he could imagine the string of curses coming out of her mouth were far from pleasant. With a smirk, he sat in the pilot's seat, activating the life support and shutting the door, igniting the engines and deactivating the bay's artificial gravity. He keyed in the coordinate from the star base and let the autopilot get to work on carrying him off to where heroes will come, lifting his hand to the pressure suit and removing the helmet. He raised an eyebrow that he hadn't heard the suit's telltale hiss when it was released. Must have popped my ears, he thought, as he leaned into his elbow and coughed, rubbing his throat as he cleared it afterwards. He smiled and put his feet up, ready to relax for the rest of the trip. Alyssa sat, curled up against the burned door of the airlock, scratching at the rash around her neck, feeling as if it was the hand of Joan choking the life from her. Her hoarse and broken voice barely managed a plea for the monster to get what was coming to him. A tear rolled down her cheek as she heard the computer's voice crackle to life over the intercom. This vessel is under quarantine by order of the United Nations of Earth. All organisms maintain isolation parameters. Do not board. Dude, that was cool. That was sick. Honestly, I kind of saw the it was so nice because I was like, oh, we see a guy. When is he going to come back in the story? And then I was like, okay, I remember quarantine, but like, oh, maybe there's gonna be something in the ship. And I was like, what's gonna happen? And I was like, bruh. And especially when it like, I was like, oh, I'm remember that the story was much longer than just like when like she realized it's gonna they're sick, and I was like, what's gonna be the plot point? But now I really like this idea that the guy, like, his suit is just was not clipped correctly and he's just starting to cough, so he's just gonna get like what's coming to him because he's a bastard. And just like this whole like the sentence at the beginning that is like, this vessel is under quarantine, do not board, and it just coming back, so just like an infinite cycle of like each time someone is gonna be a like rat bastard man and trying to board into this ship, they'll have to repeat. I really liked it. Honestly, I expected some kind of sickness, but I didn't expect this kind of ending. It was good. Yo, it's time to cheer, y'all. I don't think there's a clap. Is there a clap emote on Twitch? As left, I was a little worried I had made it too subtle. No, I liked it because the second I saw people, like, the second I was like, you know, they talk about quarantine and there's someone coughing next to Alyssa in the next cabin, I was like, oh, they're sick. And you know, like, she's scratching her rash, and I was like, oh, I was like, oh, subtle. So when like everyone starts coughing, I was like, oh, that's nice. So it's nice because now again he cough and he's rubbing his throat, so it just kind of like, you know, the guy is getting it, you know. So yeah, I really like it. Oh, it was good. It was very good. Good job. You should publish that short story. Honestly, you should. Subtlety always make it better. It could be a script for a game, right? And yes, I pop my person. Yes. So yes. Um, yes. Honestly, I liked it. I thought, honestly, with a story like that, thinking, I was thinking, often they kind of try to end it on a high like plot twist. I was like, oh, is it gonna just stop at like when it's revealed that there's a sickness? But I was like, oh, I kind of see it coming, so it would be sad if it just ended at there. But no, there was more. There was like the whole like drive and things, and I really liked the characterization for the character. I really liked it, so it was great. It was great. I love it. So let's go. I'm so happy that you allowed me to read this on stream. So now it's turn for Levianatos, who's in the chat right now. Time for you to suffer. So, yes, those were the two people that gave me something to read. So, a bit of extra information I think is make it all better is that all the story I write and plan to publish take place in the same universe. Well, you should publish them because it was good. It was very well written. Yeah, Ravina Tosa, I think, is a bit of shy, so I hope you're gonna enjoy me reading this out loud. So this is the poem he wrote for the stream. I hope you're gonna enjoy it because I did. It's a good poem. Um, the one who was talking to the stars by Levina Toes, one on Twitter. The stars talk to me. They comfort me, love me. Within the brightest hugs and the shivering drugs, I can hear them talk, their light slithering on this gloomy night, while I walk, lonely in the moonlight. I ask myself if I'm alright. Does this dance make any sense? Or am I only a pawn on their defense, and a blight on their mind? But as my life goes, my thoughts decompose, while dazzling nobles are shining dreadful proposals. Did I go wrong? A symphony, my concertos, throbbing echoes of my past song. I step on the stage, another time, one last time, for another twirl. Thou, the stars, I hear no more. Woo! And some deepest Lord. Let's go. I gotta go. This was awesome. Oh well, I'm glad you were here. It's great. Oh, that's great. So now the poems from the people were read. I have 3 poems that I've translated, and then it's time for mine, and then I'll probably post this video on YouTube, and I'll probably post the poem I wrote on the Discord so you're able to read it. So let's go. So yes, this is a poem by my favorite author, Emile Nelligin, and yeah, I tried my best to translate it. Now the stress is back, but you know what? We're gonna chase it just by reading. Ce fut un grand vaisseau taillé dans l'or massif. It was a tall ship carved in solid gold. Ses mâts touchaient l'azur sur des mers inconnues. Its mast touched the azure on unknown seas. La suprême d'amour, cheveux épars, chair nue. The Aphrodite of love, disheveled hair, bare-fleshed. C'était là sa proue au soleil excessif. Sprawled on her prow under an excessive sun. Mais il vint une nuit frapper le grand écueil. But it struck right one night the great reef, dans l'océan trompeur où chantait la sirène. In a treacherous ocean where the siren was singing, le naufrage horrible inclina sa carène, and the horrible shipwreck tilted its keel aux profondeurs du gouffre, immuable cercueil, to the depth of the abyss, immutable coffin. Ce fut un vaisseau d'or dont les flancs diaphanes. It was a ship of gold whose diaphanous sides révélaient des trésors que les marins profanes, revealed treasure which the profane mariners, dégoût, haine et névrose entre eux ont disputé. Disgust, hatred, and neurosis disputed among themselves. Que reste-t-il de lui dans la tempête brève? What remains of it in the brief tempest? Qu'est devenu mon cœur, navire déserté? What has become of my heart, deserted ship? Hélas, il a sombré dans l'abîme du rêve. Alas, it has sunk in the abyss of dream. So this is one of his most known poetry. This one and the next one is is most poetry, like the Golden Ship. Vessel d'Or is probably his most known poem, even if it's not necessarily the best. Yes, nice poem, Levina Toast. You're right, it was very good. I liked it. I know you like stars, so it really, I could feel you in these poems. So next one is Sword Zwei, which is Winter Night by Emily again. We're slowly reaching the end with there will be one last poem by Emily again, and then it's and then it's gonna be mine. um, this one was really rough to translate, but hey, I did it. um, ah, comme la neige a neigé. Oh, how the snow has snowed. Ma vitre est un jardin de givre. My window is a garden of frost. Ah, comme la neige a neigé. Oh, how the snow has snowed. Qu'est-ce que le spasme de vivre? What is the spasm of living? À la douleur que j'ai. To the pain that I have. Tous les étangs gisent gelés. All the ponds lie frozen. Mon âme est noire. Où vais-je? My soul is black. Where do you live? Where am I going? Tous ces espoirs j'ai gelés. All its hope lie frozen. Je suis la nouvelle Norvège. I am the new Norway. D'où les blancs cieux s'en sont allés. Where the blonde skies have gone. Pleurez, oiseaux de février. Weep, February birds. Au sinistre frisson des choses. To the sinister shiver of things. Pleurez, oiseaux de février. Weep, February birds. Pleurez mes pleurs, pleurez mes roses. Weep my tears, weep my rose. Aux branches du genévrier. To the branches of the juniper. Ah, comme la neige a neigé. Oh, how the snow has snowed. Ma vitre est un jardin de givre. My window is a garden of frost. Ah, comme la neige a neigé. How has the snow has snowed. Qu'est-ce que le spasme de vivre? What is the spasm of living? À tout l'ennui que j'ai. To all the boredom that I have. Yes, I put like two translation note. This one is for the it's hope. I assume that it was the like hope of the soul, but in French there was like no gendering, so there was no way to tell me which hope was it. So I assumed it was the heart. And also for the weep my tears with my rose, it's really about like mourning or crying for something, instead of just like crying tears of someone or crying rose of someone, which doesn't quite make sense. It really refers to kind of like mourning or crying for something. You know what I mean? So yeah. And then last one, this one was really important, and I wanted to show it. It's not his most known poet, but most known poems, but I think it's really important because it was not that much of a like poet, and at some point on one poetry night, he recited the Romance of Wine, and it's a poem about like being a poet and not getting appreciated and being like considered as lesser, and he said it with such rage and such like emotion that it just apparently there was just a silence in the room, and everyone just got touched by it, and it felt like for the first time he was understood. And even though his whole life he has been demeaned from being a poet, and he was wishing to be a good one, but people wouldn't recognize him. People cheered and they carried him home, like in some sort of like everyone walking down the street, and they carried him back home, and he finally got the recognition he wanted. But the thing is that is tragic with Emil Milligan is that 2 months after that he was accepted into this medical clinic because he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. So he wrote a poem about like not being liked the way he deserved and not being appreciated and recognized. And he roared that laughter, that poems in front of everyone, and just like expressing his rage and his like the feelings he has. And suddenly, for the first time, people understand, people click, they cheer for him, they bring him back home, and just 2 months later, it's already the end. He got admitted to the clinic, and I don't think he ever got out. So for me, I think I needed to put that one there because for me it just felt tragic that someone kind of feel the peak of all their work, all their achievement, and 2 months later it's already gone. So I just felt like as respect to the artist, I knew I had to put this poem. If I were to put any of this poem, this one I had to put in. So this is La Romance Vin, The Romance of Wine by Emily Guin. It's a bit long, a tiny bit longer than the other two, but after that it's mine, and then it's gonna be, I guess, chat time or goodbye time. Um, so yes, I guess here I go. Tout se mêle en un vif éclat de gaieté verte. Everything mingles in a vivid shine of green gaiety. Oh, le beau soir de mai, tous les oiseaux en chœur. Oh, the beautiful evening of May, all the birds in chorus. Ainsi que les espoirs naguère à mon cœur, as well as the hope once in my heart, modulent leur prélude à ma croisée ouverte, modulate their prelude to my open window. Oh, le beau soir de mai, le joyeux soir de mai. Oh, the beautiful evening of May, the happy evening of May. Un orgue au loin éclate en froide mélopée. An organ in the distance burst into cold melodies, et les rayons ainsi que de pourbes épées. And the rays, as well as purple swords, percent le cœur du jour qui se meurt parfumé. Pierce the heart of the day with dice perfume. Je suis gai dans le cristal qui chante. I am happy in the crystal that sings. Verse le vin, verse encore et toujours. Pour the wine, pour again and always. Que je puisse oublier la tristesse des jours, so that I can forget the sadness of days, dans le dédain que j'ai de la foule méchante, in the disdain I have of the wicked crowd. Je suis gai, vive le vin et l'art. I am happy, long live wine and art. J'ai le rêve de faire aussi des vers célèbres. I have the dream of also making famous verses, des vers qui gémiront les musiques funèbres, verses that will moan the funeral music, des vents d'automne au loin passant dans le brouillard, autumn winds in the distance passing through the fog. C'est le règne du rire amer et de la rage. It is the reign of bitter laughter and rage. De se savoir poète est l'objet du mépris. To know oneself as a poet and the object of contempt. De se savoir un cœur et de n'être compris. To know having a heart and be understood. Que par le clair de lune et les grands soirs d'orage. Only by the moonlights and the great stormy nights. Femmes, je bois à vous qui riez du chemin. Women, I drink to you who laugh at the path. Où l'idéal m'appelle en ouvrant ses bras roses. For the ideal calls me by opening its pink arm. Je bois à vous surtout, homme au front morose. I drink to you above all, men with gloomy foreheads, qui dédaignez ma vie et repoussez ma main, who disdain my life and reject my hand. Pendant que tout l'azur s'étoile dans la gloire, while all the azure stars in glory, et qu'un hymne s'entonne au renouveau doré, and that an hymn is sung to the golden renewal. Sur le jour expirant, je n'ai donc pas pleuré. So on the expiring day I have not wept. Moi qui marche à tantôt dans ma jeunesse noire, me who walks fumbling in my dark youth. Je suis gai, vive le long soir de mai. I am happy, long live the evening of May. Je suis follement gai, sans pourtant être ivre. I am madly happy without, however, being drunk. Serait-ce que je suis enfin heureux de vivre? Could it be that I am finally happy to live? Enfin mon cœur est-il guéri d'avoir aimé? Finally is my heart healed from having loved? Les cloches ont chanté, le vent du soir odore. The bells sang, the evening wind smells. Et pendant que le vin ruisselle à joyeux flot, and while the wine is flowing joyfully, je suis si gai dans mon rire sonore. I am so happy in my sonorous laughter. Oh, si gai que j'ai peur d'éclatants sanglots. Oh, so happy and I'm afraid to burst into tears. So yes, I guess this was his. It's not his last poem that he wrote, but it's the last poem he recite, and while being like totally mentally here, and there was something about it that really touched me when I was young. You know, like he's talking about like being the object of content, and what he did not know was that this night when he would read it, it would be carried home by a crowd of happy people cheering him on and cheering his success back to his home. And I think that's kind of like beautiful that for like the first time I think he was like, I read like most of his poem, and it is the first time that he was openly talking about how people were treating him, and it just kind of opened people's mind, opened people's eyes. They saw that how they treated him was unfit, you know. And yeah, I just There was something about it. So I guess now we come to the last poem, which is mine. After that, I have no more poems. I will accept like I don't know, question, chatting, anything. But yeah, last poem is mine. Um, it's called Shelter's Hope. By me, Dark-Nemesys. This poem I wrote. Uh, I was supposed to. I wanted to make maybe like a few poems for the stream, but I managed to put all the feelings I was feeling into this one poem. So um, I didn't have had to write many. I just needed one, and that's okay. For me, for those people who might be new to the stream, uh, I call people that join here fledglings because I thought, it would be funny. I have wings, so it's kind of like I'm giving you my wings. So it's kind of like people, you know, learning to fly or something. And this place, with like the forest thingy, I call it the shelter because that's what I'm hoping for people to find here. I'm hoping they will find some sort of shelter they can feel good and they can feel at ease. And I want people to be able to grow here as a person and also be able to heal from whatever hurts they had. And I don't know, there's lots of things that I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about this place, the shelter, and lots of question and lots of things. So I decided to put it all in the poems for the stream. It's kind of like me bearing my soul to the shelter. Maybe I'm gonna clip it so every new flattening that will come will see that. So yeah, it's Shelter's Hope. I hope you're gonna enjoy it. I think it's personal, but at the same point, isn't that the point of poetry, isn't it? To bare your souls and hope to be embraced back. So here I go. New wings fluttering, join me on this long flight. Ride the winds of change. Let me feel the light. Let me touch the future and hold it tight. I am but a simple dream, waiting to be breathed to life. Can't you hear the soft echo of a feeling that won't leave? Where do you want to go? I long for a place to call home. Please let me reborn anew, so I can be myself with you. Can I be the shelter I didn't have? You don't have to be loved to know how to. Please watch with me, sunrise, sunset, dusk, so I can leave behind the feeling of hollow husk. I'm finding myself adrift. I'll pull myself out by my own faith. I hope I suffered this, so you will not have to. I have yet to know all of you. You're a thousand stars in entity. You're a thousand pieces of the same love, loving a thousand pieces of the same me. Let us rest under these shining lights. Let wither the memories of pain. Awaits the new morning until only hope remain. Thank you all for joining on this event. It was the last poem that I had, and I hope you liked it, and I hope you're gonna keep enjoying the things I do and the place I'm trying to create, and I hope you're gonna find comfort in this shelter that I'm trying to create for people, and I hope I'm bearing my soul, being honest, and I hope it shows, and I hope you can find a place to rest for a while here. This was the softest poem. Congrats on this high quality stream. Thank you. I've worked really hard on it, and I was really hoping that it would show. Uh, it strikes my heart. I was hoping so. Poetry is about being truly honest. It's about bearing your soul, and I think I've done just that. And I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm honestly not sure what I'm supposed to do now. I planned everything. I planned the beginning. I planned what I would say. I planned upon this poetry at all, but to be honest, I like the meme says, I don't know. I never thought I would get this far, so I don't quite know what to say now. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you can take my words to heart. And I hope I was able to share something good with you. And oh, you're still there. You had a great stream. Thank you. Were you there for the last poems? So yes, I hope you had a good time. I hope I made you like able to enjoy some poetry. I tried to mix and match up different things, so maybe yeah. I hope I was able to make you discover things. I'm sure you didn't like everything, but I hope that I have managed to make you maybe enjoy things a bit out of your comfort zone. I hope that I managed to give you uh soft good vibes to make you rest on this day. And yes, I hope that the last puns, I hope that since it came from, I guess, the very depth of my soul, I hope it was able to reach to you. Um, so, uh, I don't quite know what to say. I think usually that's the time where I would just kind of like uh, probably kind of say goodbye and try to rate someone. So maybe I'm gonna do that. So I guess time for my ending stream. I hope you liked it. Breathe now, it's done. Yeah, thank you. I want to say thank you to everyone that come. It was very special. I think I've never had so many people be in the chat and stay in the chat, and it was very special for me to see so many people just like coming here to an event that I've worked so hard for. Most of my friends can tell I've spent hours on this. Uh, I really did. Yeah, I spent hour on this to work on that. So yeah. Oh God, I don't see anyone to raid. Oh God, do y'all have someone to raid? Oh, oh no, that's kind of sad. Um, we have hate people. Would be so nice to be kind to someone. I just want to be sweet. Is there someone? Okay, guys, if you have someone to rate, please tell me because I'd really like if we can, I don't know, like make someone's day or something. I think that could be nice. Pandemonium. Okay. I'm gonna search them real quick. Yeah, yes, breathe. Yes, I will. I did felt for a while like as if like I would not be able to breathe from the stress. Uh, whew, it felt very stressful. Uh, and yeah, are they playing a game? Are they playing Power Wash Simulator? Because if yes, that would be kind of funny, and I would be down to rate that. Playing Power Wash Simulator. Okay, well, where can I rate them? They seem sweet. So raid. I'm just gonna Control C, Control V. Honestly, since I'm such a washing freak, like a cleaning freak, I really like cleaning stuff. I'm sure I would like this game. Oh no, that's not the comment. Wait. Let's go. Does it work? Please? Okay, so thank you all for joining. It was really nice to see you all. I really hope you like this. I'll try to post the things in Twitter. So yes, so you'll be not Twitter. I meant Discord. So you'll be able to read back the poem. Remember, the message is shelter reading because we as a collective are the shelter. So yeah. Thank you all for joining. May I welcome you in the shelter again. Until next time.